Hari Om. The 27th verse, which we last did, whatever being is born, moving or unmoving, whether be it the plant, the animal, or the human, know that to be the union of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Know that to be the union between the Kshetra is Prakriti, Kshetrajna is Purusha. Everything is a combination of spirit plus matter. The pure consciousness is that enlivening principle. It is the Purusha. The matter consists of gross matter and subtle matter. Gross matter is the physical body. The subtle matter is the mind and intellect and the vasanas. So the equation for life is the pure consciousness plus the matter equals life, which is what he's saying. Everything in life is a combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And then he addresses Arjuna as Bharata Rishabha. Bharata Rishabha means you are a bull amongst men. A bull or a cow is adhered, is worshipped, is regarded in Hindu culture. Today, people are mechanically worshipping the physical body. They're worshipping the cow, they're worshipping the bull. So there's perhaps in the recent past, there's a resurgence of these goshalas, where the cow or cattle is looked after, they're worshipped. I'm not saying you should not do that, but I'm trying to tell you, why is a cow or a bull worshipped? It is looked up in our culture because of the principle that it lives or stands by. And the principle is that it lives with the spirit of immense sacrifice. So it takes a stance as a giver. Maximum work, minimum profit. I came across a message. An IT company, the salary was remitted at 10 a.m. and at 10:05, the person has tendered resignation after receiving the salary. And there was a huge difference of opinions. Is this the work culture? Where are your ethics? Where is your value systems? So what is the spirit? Are you operating on a spirit to take or grab in every opportunity? Or are you looking for opportunities where you can inject the spirit of service and sacrifice? So our country primarily was an agricultural country. And it relied heavily on cattle. So they associated that spirit of service to that cattle. It was a part of anybody's life, everybody's life. The day you got up, you would be with them till the end of the day. So you are trying to instill that spirit which they symbolize. So Arjuna was one such person. So Krishna keeps addressing him as, you're a man with that great spirit. You're a bull amongst men. Okay, now in the next few verses, till the end of the topic, which is till the 31st verse, the fifth topic that we have been studying is way to realize the self. That is from 25 to 31. So the next few verses, he is going to highlight the difference between Purusha and Prakriti. In fact, the whole chapter he has been doing, you will find that he has been drilling this idea again and again, again and again. He almost repeats himself. And when a master repeats himself, the only objective is to the importance of that message. If a parent keeps repeating a message to a child because of its importance, or perhaps the student or the child is not following that advice. So much is emphasized, but yet you don't see this message trickling down to the masses. So the concept that is prevalent is far from what is being said, which is very, very sad. Okay, now let's take the 28th verse. We're almost coming to the end of the text. So you would find it, he might be summing up as well. So verse 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyetsva vinashyantam ya pashyati sa pashyati. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyetsva vinashyantam ya pashyati sa pashyati. Now, this is a very famous concept, often spoken in the Gita, in the Shastras. This is, in fact, a quality control, you can say. This verse and the next verse. Now, here he says, he who sees the Supreme Lord, Parameshwaram, abiding samam sarveshu bhuteshu, abiding equally in all beings, as the imperishable among the perishable, avinash yantam, the imperishable among the perishable, vinashyatsu. So he who sees what? Sees the Parameshwara. Now, even though Parameshwara means the Lord, don't take it literally as a Lord with a form. Don't say it is Lord Shiva. When they say the Supreme Lord, they are referring to, the Shastras don't refer to a form. They are referring to a formless reality. So when they say Parameshwara, he who sees the Supreme Lord, in all beings. Why does he say the Lord? Lord is something which is the supreme commander, that which controls everything, that which commands everything. So the Lord is that which energizes, which controls everything, which controls the entire matter. In that sense, he says it is the Lord of all beings. So he who sees that Lord equally in all beings. whether be it a sinner or a saint, whether be it a friend or a foe, whether be it a benefactor or a malefactor, whether be it a sattvic person or a tamasic person, whether be it a brahmana or a shudra. The test of spiritual development is you see the Atman in all of them. So 28 and 29 can be taken as a true test for one's own spiritual development. Am I able to see that Lord equally in all the varied people? In a society, you will have people of different strata. Someone who could be useful to you, there are people who are no use to you. Do you treat them the same way? A person who is extremely valuable to you, a person whom you have no value, can you treat the person the same way? So you are identifying with the Lord, which is the common denominator in the heterogeneous expressions. So there is a common principle, a homogeneous principle. So to see the Atman, you should identify with the common denominator. Now, however profound the concept is, as I said, is a test. I tell you, if not all of us, most of us fail. The question is, why are we failing? You may say, I have not developed yet. But then where is that lack of development evident? You may say, I'm not able to see the Atman. I'm not able to see the Lord in all beings. Why are you not able to see the Lord? Then what are you seeing? Instead of the Lord, what are we seeing? This is a true test. As I tell you, you may have you should have the right yardsticks to measure your development. And this is a very prominent concept that is often spoken as a quality control. Much less emphasized because, in fact, in the 35 qualities of a bhakta, he says, he who doesn't hate any being. You are a devotee of God, you should not hate any fellow. Doesn't matter what he does, whoever he is, you should not hate him. You should see the Atman in him. So it is often pounded onto us. So you can always fall back on this quality just to measure yourself. Where am I? Now, the question is, why are we not able to see the Lord in all beings? That's the question. Let me take the opportunity to ask Hina.
Guruji, can you hear me?
Namaskar.
Can you hear me?
It would help if you can, I don't know, if you can speak a little louder or get your microphone a little closer to yourself.
Can you hear me now, Guruji?
Much better. Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah. So, your question is why we're not able to see the Lord in beings. Is I feel we have vasanas. We use lots of our judgment, and as humans, when something unfavorable happens with a human, we don't see the Lord.
So instead of the Lord, what are you seeing? You're spot on. Your answer is spot on. I just want you to spell it further.
Just the physical form, the identity of the physical form. And we don't think that at least for me, I don't think negative of that person, but I cannot see the Lord when something unpleasant happens. I just see that identity as that, okay, this is person A and this is person B.
And perhaps not in the context of you, but in some cases we may even entertain a difference of opinion we may have. It can lead to lack of identification. It may lead to hatred or animosity or otherness, friction.
Yes, Guruji.
So, as I've said, if not all of us, most of us, if not all of us, most of us are caught up in the qualities of the person. This is what I believe Hina is saying. When a person presents himself to you, he is presenting himself with the gunas or qualities or attributes. And I say, I don't like that quality in you. Either I like you or I dislike you. On what basis am I liking you or disliking you? Invariably, it's the quality, isn't it, Hina?
Yeah.
So
Correct.
even if you say you like a person, you're still not liking the Atman in him. You're still liking the quality in him.
Mhm.
We are caught up in the gunas. We are caught up in the vasanas. We are caught up in the matter. We are caught up with the kshetra. Not easy. Let's put this test to each one of ourselves to see the moments where you don't identify or can't practice this quality, because I am so deeply caught up in the quality of the person, the identity of the person, but not the kshetrajna, not the Lord that supports it. And I'm carried away with that quality of that person. Yes, no denying the fact that person has the quality. Then comes the exercise. If you're right, very much right, Hina. The thinking is spot on, as I've said. If this is a fact, we are told to see the Lord, but I am seeing the quality. Now, how do I wriggle myself out of this trap that I am caught up in, which is blocking my vision to see the Lord? So when I am caught up in the quality of a person, what should I do? What should be the rationality? Because my objective should be to see the self, the Lord there. The Lord is very much there in that person, but I'm not able to see the Lord because I'm caught up in the quality. So, what should be my mental process? Because I can't change the quality in a person, can I?
Mhm.
I can't change you, you can't change me unless you want to change yourself and I want to change myself. And even that, I need to give some time. Till that change happens, he will remain to be what he is. You will remain to be what you are. I will remain to be what I am. So that is the inevitable fact that there are these qualities which I'm bound by. But when I look at you, I should not fall a prey to that quality. So what should be my rationality? Any thoughts there? No issue. Do think along here. But there we have enough wisdom to help us not get trapped in that quality of the nama rupa, caught up in the names and forms. Enough argument. The question is whether I surrender to that argument or whether I surrender to the wisdom. That's the drawback. Perfect. Yes, Sureshi.
My response or reaction to the way the other person behaves is because of my expectations. I expect somebody to behave in a particular way, or to respond in a particular way, or to act in a particular way. It is that expectation which, puts me in a state of discomfort, probably, in that situation. So the moment I understand and appreciate that a particular individual's response or reaction, that particular response must be viewed from the standpoint of that person, and not from the standpoint of my expectation, then I will develop to some extent the maturity to understand that particular response. That person is behaving in a particular way because of his inherent nature, what we call the vasanas, and therefore I should be able to appreciate that. And after all, he is a fellow pilgrim like me in the journey of life. And each one of us has perfections, imperfections, the plus and the minus. And therefore, that high degree of empathy, as somebody said, empathy is your pain in my heart. If I can develop that maturity, I must share, Guruji, I felt so sad, day before yesterday evening, I had a walk-in client who came in with just 2 hours of notice. He's a young boy. He's only 36, a very brilliant technocrat who was in the US and made a lot of money. And it was during COVID that his marriage was fixed. And, the marriage took place. He came here only for 15 days and took the bride along with him to the US. And they lived together for 2 years. They have a daughter. And then I really do not know what the difference is. They came back, and presently, even now the bride says, we should make things work. But this boy is adamant and he's filed for a divorce. And, the biggest, I was so shocked when he came to me, for what advice? He wants advice how to arrange my financial affairs in such a way that although I have a lot of money, I must manifest to the world as if I do not have too much money. I have too many liabilities, and therefore I cannot pay the maintenance which the court would ask me to pay. I said, where are we heading? Where are we heading? I said, there is nothing that a chartered accountant can do, because I cannot retrospectively create liabilities for you. And in any case, the liabilities will have to be in the official domain. And I felt so sad. It is this lack of awareness, this wisdom which this great country of ours with a 5,000-year heritage which has to offer. And there is so many people in this world with so much of wealth, but steeped in ignorance, devoid of values. He is not able to put himself in the position of his wife. She is behaving that way because it is her inherent nature. Why can't your love be unconditional? And try and make things work. And think of that little girl, that daughter. So coming back to our question, this is because of, an utter lack of understanding. I think that again, going back to that beautiful chapter 12, inherently, if we understand that we are a spark of the divine, that unconditional love and happiness is our true nature. It is from that true nature that all the remaining 35 attributes spring up, whether it is compassion or love or not being agitated by the world. Everything springs from that basic quality of unconditional love. If we can develop that awareness, what a beautiful world we can create around us.
So true. Now we start relating this quality in a applied philosophy manner. There are enough evidences. There's enough proof where we are faltering, where we are not able to apply, and then facing the consequences. Literally, we are punishing ourselves because we get caught up in the qualities of the other person. Thanks, Sureshi. See, the fundamental thing, we don't realize that other person himself or herself is a victim of the qualities. He himself is experiencing the quality because of something he or she has done in the past. So it takes a lot even for that person. Let's say if I want to change, it will take a while for me to change because I am myself enslaved by my past vasanas. So it requires a lot of empathy, a lot of consideration to what other person is doing. Why is he doing? Because of so much of conditioning, so much of he's a victim. In fact, if I see other person, not yourself as a victim of his actions, he himself is a victim of his own past actions. I feel sorry for the fellow. So all this wisdom is so needed to be able to get out of the trap of getting caught up in the qualities. And a very famous saying we often say, you must learn to segregate the quality from the personality. At least that little thing one starts applying. Separate, segregate the quality from the person. You hate the quality, but not the personality. You hate the sin, but not the sinner. And I believe we don't practice this as much as we advocate, as much as we believe, as much as we know. But in moments where we have to practice it, we're not practicing it. So it is an honest introspection of this quality that helps you to develop, to see a sense of equality in the apparent differences. There is an equality, there is a common factor, but you should be able to rationalize that the other person is a victim of his vasanas. And so what you must do, firstly, you have to keep a little distance from his qualities or her qualities. Distance yourself from the other person's qualities. You say, I have got nothing to do with your quality. That's your quality. That's your headache. I have got nothing to do with it. First, distance yourself and say, I have got nothing to do with it. Secondly, if you can understand that he is a victim of his vasanas and you may sympathize with that individual. Thirdly, you start separating the quality from the personality. You hate the quality, you not the personality, and then start looking what lies beyond the quality. There is a lot more that is in store. And perhaps that's where you will wriggle yourself out of the trap that we get caught up in. That's why I said most of us, if not all of us, most of the times, if not all the times, we are caught up in the qualities. I'm not generalizing. That's why I said most of us and most of the times. And this is the saga of our experience day in and day out. SR is very deep in contemplation. I hope he is not parallelly running a class mentally. Are you with us, sir? Sir, we can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Is it okay, Guruji?
Yes.
Yeah, I think what you rightly said, that every moment we go through this challenge, Guruji, the moment we come with a smoke screen. So we polarize the people, good, bad, right, wrong, rich, poor, and start aligning to their likes. Because first of all, we inherently have a strong vasanas. So we would like to see that similar vasanas exist in others. So it's a moment-to-moment challenge. But unfortunately, even the greatest spiritual gurus, leaders, even when you go for any darshan, of course, I didn't really go on, or I try to make an attempt. There also you find a difference, even from their perspective also, rich and poor, who give a more donation, who give a less donation, who is not going to add value to their thing. Even they also, having been learned the Shastras and having been understood, whatever maybe the little, but still they find a difference of opinion, and differentiation takes in every moment to moment. So you don't find there is this challenge is not applicable to the ignorance, or like Suresh is rightly put across, whatever the knowledge you have, it whatever maybe the exposure experience you have in the life, but end of the day we fall prey to this gap.
Serious gap, serious. This element really plays a toll on us. Serious
Yeah.
toll, right?
Yeah. I missed your volume, Guruji. I could
Sorry.
not. Yeah.
No, I'm saying this lack of this wisdom, it plays a serious toll on us, and we pay the toll. Is really haunts one in one's relationship with the world, and then it destroys it.
I think is it a start with annihilating the ego, Guruji? Is the one where we need to start working
Not,
out
not
ourselves?
really. See, ego again is an independent element. You may connect it, but the point that we are trying to say is you're so much operating on your own likes and dislikes. You're operating on your likes and dislikes. So you fail to see what the reality is. You either like the world or hate the world because you're looking at the world from your likes and dislikes. So you are liking the world because, as Suresh said, is your expectations. The world satisfies what you like or what you don't like. And from there, you are establishing a relationship. But irrespective of your likes and dislikes, do I see the world what the world is? And and in the Shastras, in fact, in the third chapter of the Gita, has very, very powerfully, the third chapter clarifies that your own likes and dislikes are your enemies. As much in as many words, it says they are your perpetual enemies, perpetual foe.
A lot
And
need
it
to be
is,
work on self, Guruji. There's
no,
nothing
it
to
is,
do with the world. It's more about a continuous improvement on ourselves.
it's a continuous sadhana. It has to be a continuous process. You are dealing with a formidable foe. It's like you have an enemy who is constantly trying to attack you, and he is very strong. What would you do? Are you not gathering and preparing your forces, not knowing when the enemy is going to attack you? And you can't predict what could happen. So you're ever ready. In a country is ever ready because it can always be attacked from any side. So it is garnering its resources, strengthening and refining its resources to defend itself. That kind of awareness only can protect you. But we are so not aware what is the enemy. The enemy is not outside, the enemy is right within you. The enemy is your own mind, your own likes and dislikes. And you're not realizing that you are feeding that enemy.
Yes, perfectly, Guruji.
We're just letting the enemy fed, and that's creating chaos. It's impossible to satisfy likes and dislikes. When an event is done, even on behalf of the foundation, an event is done, something is presented. Each one of you will have a certain like and dislike. Oh, I didn't like this. I didn't like that. As an institution, am I sitting there to satisfy to each one of your likes and dislikes? Is that my objective? Is that my purpose? If I offer you some prasad, you say, oh, I don't like the spice, I don't like the pulhodara, I don't like the payasam, I don't like tiffin, I don't like rice. If you want something to cater to your palate, go to a restaurant, order and eat what you want. Why are you complaining? What is being offered? And I have people coming and telling me, sir, Guruji, this is not nice, that is not nice. I don't like this, I don't like that. I am not here to sit and cater to your likes and dislikes. You don't like it, don't eat it. You're not coming there to eat food. Be thankful somebody is sponsored, somebody is providing. Don't come and eat and complain. Say, oh, the food is not nice. Mind your own business, man. Look at the audacity you have to come and complain something there. Yeah. Not now. It is been perpetually going on. How can you complain? How can anything? The world is not meant to satisfy you. The world is not meant to cater to you. And you complain at the world because you're operating on your likes and dislikes. It's so difficult to address this issue because we are so dead hell bent on looking at the world from my perspective, my window. And when you look from your likes and dislikes, everybody is wrong except you. You will justify yourself and find everybody else is wrong.
Yes.
What sense can be put into any individual when you see from your own little window and say, you're right, everybody is wrong? It can't. You can't. So I say, I am not sitting there to satisfy your ego or your likes and dislikes. You don't like it, please move on. This is how it's going to be. But that doesn't mean I'm adamant or we are arrogant. We'll try our best to what can be offered or provided. But if it doesn't cater to your palate, don't sit and complain, man. If it doesn't suit to your thing, don't sit and complain. Don't complain. Very, very narrow approach. As we say, we are caught up in the qualities.
But Guruji, having been like Vedic Bhumi with a 5,000 years historical thing, but I think we should have been something different than the world, at least on the basic our approaches and thought process and vasanas. But I see we are no different and we are sometimes maybe worst. Of course, I'm not supposed to compare with the rest, but we should have been something above the rest of the world, having been all this culture what we have been imparted to us from the ages together. Where is it is missing and why we are behaving like, sorry to use that in absolutely an ignorant manner.
In fact, quoting the Gita itself, the Lord says in the, I don't know which chapter, he says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale namahata yogo nashta parantapa. He says, as time passed on, we have lost this tradition, we have lost this culture. How many of you are making it a point of no choice that you should get your children and grandchildren this knowledge? I'm not pinpointing anybody, I'm not having anything against anybody, but you will not have any second thought in sending them to Harvard, Oxford, getting them the so-called education. You will send them to see the world, experience the world, but you have not sent them to experience our own culture. It has not been there in our roots because we have ourselves misunderstood this knowledge. Would you have sent your child to Gurukul in your earlier days, in their earlier molding days? No.
No.
You would want to send them to the best of education, so-called education available in the market, but you never considered this value systems as a part of molding. So today, the generation, younger generation, they don't have because we have misunderstood our own knowledge.
Because we have been trapped in the survival mode and the sustainability all the time, morning and safety net we want to create. So the whole life has been consumed in the creating a safety net.
Who is to blame? We can't blame the knowledge for that. But as I've said, I keep saying that the knowledge doesn't need me or any one of us for it to sustain. It will not die. It's this knowledge of the Guru Shishya Parampara which has preserved this great tradition of this knowledge. It will carry on. But we all need to do what we can for this parampara to carry on. But let us not have the arrogance or the audacity that I am doing, it is because of me, it is carrying on. It doesn't need me or you or anybody for that matter. It is too profound, and anything, the worst the world has yet to see, perhaps it will not destroy this great tradition, this knowledge. So there's still hope because so many civilizations have come and gone, so much has perished, but this civilization of this Vedic wisdom still is accessible, still available. So there's something in it that will not die. But we all need to do a lot more to create a new dimension to look at what this knowledge is. Otherwise, we're digging our own grave.
That's true.
Thanks.
Thanks, Guruji.
Yeah. Hina, you wanted to, I know you've been wanting to say something. Yes, please.
So Guruji, back on that verse, you mentioned that we have our likes and our dislikes are our enemies. So when we are trying in day life examples, we're trying to see everyone as the Atman in somebody, and not to have likes or dislikes, because as Sureshji said, we are using expectations and then we get disappointed. But in real life example, when we're having a healthy discussion, say with family, everybody is expressing their opinions. And yes, I agree, there is no right or there's no wrong answer. But when you are speaking to someone very close to you, that person, when you're trying to express the opinion, the person always says, no, you're not right. And they're sharing their knowledge and wisdom from their perspective, which is right or not wrong. But after a conversation, it turns out to be quite a debate. And when it turns out to be a debate, it doesn't sound very pleasant. And then you feel, at the end of the conversation, then you start having likes and dislikes. Oh, why did the person say that to me? So automatically, as human, you feel kind of like dejected after a conversation. You're trying to raise your point, and then it becomes even more unpleasant, and it turns out to be like a disagreement. And at that point, sometimes, in my perspective, yes, you want to carry on because there's no right or wrong answer, but then you don't want it to be, like a rift. At that point, I realize sometimes I want to be silent, but I want to also at the same time conflicting. I want to say my opinion through. At the end of the conversation, it's like a no solution. And then I realize, as a being, I have the likes and dislikes, and then I keep the space. I try not to react because that's another karma. But when you react, it doesn't sound pleasant. So in this situation, Guruji, silence is the best method, or to state what you feel, because you're just stating what you know from your point of view and your world, what you see. So how do we deal with such situations in your life when you have, you don't want to like, you don't want to dislike, you want to be neutral, but again, we all have our own vasanas, we're coming with our own views, which is not right or wrong. How do you deal with certain situations like this, where silence is the best method, or to raise your opinion?
No, firstly, I don't think anybody can argue with you, because the way you come across is such a so soft-natured. I don't think you have ever raised your voice in your whole life. Have you?
No, I
Have.
haven't.
Okay. Maybe Harish should say. Harish is a very long dear friend of you. I should ask him. What it
Many
have
times,
known of
Guruji, many
times.
times.
Okay.
Being truthful.
Yeah. No, there is no one answer whether to keep silent or whether to voice your views. There's no one way. As long as you rationalize the situation, as long as you don't operate on emotions, that's important. See, you may have an opinion, you may disagree with what is being said, but that does not mean the other person is wrong and you have to be right. It's always each one has an opinion. End of the day, you do what you think is the right thing to do. So, and what determines what the right thing to do is you're not operating on your likes and dislikes, nor are you operating on emotions. Let your intellect rationalize that situation and think for yourself and see, is it in the best interest for my own growth? Not in a selfish way. Is it in the best? Is it for my own? I have to create an environment for my growth. For example, if 3 people or 4 people in the house, and one likes bland food, another person likes spicy food, other person likes pungent food, would a person who appreciates bland food should he eat spicy and pungent food because the other 3 people in the family want to eat that way? Would you punish yourself just because other people are favoring a particular lifestyle? No. You have to always create an environment conducive for your growth, which means you have to be strong enough to live up or stand up for your convictions. You have a certain conviction, and that's where the intellect comes in. You have a certain conviction, this is the right thing for me, for my growth. And once you're convinced it's the right thing for you to do, let your conscience support that decision. Yes, I think this is the right thing. I'm very comfortable doing it. As long as your convictions are supported by your conscience, even if it means you may have to say no or stand against others or not cater to others' feelings, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. So don't have to be a doormat to others. Don't have to feel that you may be hurting them by disagreeing to their feelings or opinions. So be it. Because at the end of the day, the worst thing you can do is to be false to yourself. It's the worst thing. So always stand by this principle that live by your conviction, stand by your conviction, and just to be sure, let it cross-reference with your conscience and say, am I doing the right thing? And that inner feeling, that inner voice, that conscience comes and tells you, yes, I think what you're doing is the right thing. What come may, hold on to your conviction. Though you may give a leeway here and there, you have that proportion as well. You have a sense of proportion where you understand. It's all right. It's in a situation you may have to do a different thing at a time. You may not like to do it, but you do it because you have to have that proportion, a sense of proportion. And then, because a value becomes rigid, then it has no applicability. But you're still grounded. You're still grounded in the values, but it must be applicable. So sometimes you may have to bend here and there, but not break. Don't sacrifice your value at any point, but you may have to adapt here and there. So that all of this is possible when you operate on the intellect. So conviction, backed by your conscience, and ability to adapt in situations where you're able to keep that proportion. You're proportioning it in an appropriate manner. That will help you to accommodate others at the same time stand on your ground.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you.
Perhaps that helps. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Good to have Vijayji back.
Pranam Guruji.
Namaskar, sir. Good to have you, sir. The interesting topic of debate or discussion. Huh?
I was reminded about the concept of forgiving. I was wondering whether it's got some in an oblique way related to this. Like when we feel that something is being unfair or done unfair to us, and first we don't react to the act but more react to the person, and remove the person out of our orbit, and after a lot of thoughts or whatever persuasion, we end up forgiving that person. And everybody thinks it's a great virtue on my part. Actually, it's not a virtue on my part, but I am removing my negativity. And if I can do that, avoid doing this, creating a negativity and try to operate on the intellectual plane as much as possible during any discussions, perhaps it was not necessary to begin with. Easy to say, very easy to say, I understand.
Perhaps it culminates in an attitude of being accommodative, being acceptful, and letting others be what they are. And in fact, we should not again develop any feeling that I forgive you for what you have done. You are doing something because of your vasanas. Whom am I to forgive you? Yeah, I understand you, your vasanas, and relate with it well. But in a way, yes, I know the quality of forgiveness is a beautiful quality to it. It settles that mental restlessness. My mind gets very restless, very agitated because you get caught up in that quality of the other person. But if you can just forgive the other person, it's not easy, but if you are able to garner that strength and apply it, you are able to go beyond the apparent quality and see the Lord. Ultimately, see the Lord. Thank you, Ji. Yes, sir. Suresh Ji.
Guruji, maybe 2 years back, there was a beautiful message, and that has somehow remained with me. It is in Hindi. It's worth recapitulating in the context of the present discussion. जिंदगी आसान नहीं होता, जिंदगी को आसान बनाना पड़ता है. कैसे? कुछ सब्र करके, कुछ बर्दाश्त करके, और बहुत कुछ नजरअंदाज करके. And then the person says, the most important attribute in life, my friends, I must tell you, is humility. Not my way or highway. And therefore be humble. And in the context of what Mr. Vijay said, the moment you have this humility, forgiveness becomes a natural corollary. It's so beautiful, you know. Life is not easy. You have to make life easy for yourself and for others. How? कुछ बर्दाश्त करके, by tolerating a few things which will not be relevant 10 hours from now. कुछ आसान बनाना पड़ता है. कैसे? कुछ सब्र करके, by tolerating, by with forbearance. Again, कुछ बर्दाश्त करके, सब्र करके, with patience, forbearance. And some things you just simply ignore. There are so many higher thoughts. Forget about this. And then, you know, if we can develop this, humility comes, forgiveness comes. And forgiveness, as we know, is a selfish act. When we forgive somebody, we are actually being kind to ourselves because that person is off my back.
So
just
true.
wanted to share this. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will have to say this. Hindi or Urdu is trademark Ashama. So we will have to give the credit to her, to listen to her, the same quote that you said from her.
Why not? Nothing like a person whose mother tongue is that language, that person speaking that language.
Yes.
This is all borrowed.
I will only give you 85% marks. I give 100% to Ashama. Very
Sir,
sorry.
85% in Hindi is a more than distinction, is very creditable.
So you have to forgive me for giving only 85%.
No. My Hindi teacher would never give me more than 70.
Okay. So I've been very kind to you then. Ashama, boliye.
Thank you, Guruji, for your kindness. जिंदगी आसान नहीं होती, जिंदगी को आसान बनाना पड़ता है. कुछ सब्र करके, कुछ बर्दाश्त करके, और कुछ नजरअंदाज करके.
Wow. There is that punch. That punch was missing, sir. Very sorry to say, Suresh. Your punch comes when you quote English, huh?
Now here I will quote another one which I have already done once long back.
Please.
When we move about with an attitude of service and humility, we should, I say to myself, यही है इबादत, यही दीन और ईमान. Ibadat is worship of God. Deen is my own self, what it means to me. and Iman is my religion. यही है इबादत, यही दीन और ईमान के काम आए दुनिया में इंसान को इंसान.
Wow, wow, wow.
Once again.
I mean, the way I worship God.
No, don't translate, just in Hindi.
यही है इबादत, यही दीन और ईमान के काम आए दुनिया में इंसान को इंसान.
Every language speaks the same truth. So beautiful, isn't it? Thanks, Ashama.
हाँ जी.
Keep sharing those gems. Okay. So coming back to we've always been on the mantra, coming back, but just getting to the text or the second half of the verse, he says ultimately one who sees the imperishable in the perishable. Vinashyat svavinashyantam yah pashyati sapashyati. Yah pashyati sapashyati. A very famous, very oft quoted, he who sees it, sees it. You have to see it. I can't see it for you. No guru can bless you. No no God can bless you. No blessings of others will help you. It's your own effort, your own tapas, your own sadhana. You will have to slog it out to gain this perception. And one who sees it, he sees it. And Krishna, the Lord, is telling Arjuna that I can't help you see, Arjuna. You have to do it by your own effort. Uddharet atmanatmana. You have to uplift yourself by yourself. So there is the imperishable in the perishable. You got to clinch it. Okay. I wouldn't want to expand further on that, but you get the message. Okay. Let's take up 29, which again continues the same line of thought. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitamishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitamishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Seeing indeed he who sees the same Lord dwelling everywhere does not destroy the self by the self. The first self is capital. By the self, the second self is small. So the individual self, the individual does not destroy the Atman. He then reaches the Param Gatim. Param Gatim is the supreme goal. So continuation of the thought from the previous mantra, indeed, he who sees the Lord, which is a lot to do, perhaps it's a culmination of your sadhana. You can't start by expecting to see the Lord everywhere. You have to do a lot to undo where we are caught up in the quality. So once you do that, once you see the Lord dwelling everywhere, such a person does not destroy the self. Now what's happening when you don't see the Lord? You're destroying the Atman. You're destroying the self by the self. And how do we destroy the self by the self? Padmanima, have you got your, is your audio good? Can you talk? You can speak? I'm afraid we can't hear you. There seems to be some. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it can be heard.
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Good.
Probably I lost what you were asking.
Okay. No, I'll just repeat what I said. My question is, when does one destroy the self by the self? The first self is capital, the second self is small. Because in the verse, you noted the verse, right? In the verse, he says, one who sees the Lord dwelling everywhere, he does not destroy the self by the self. So my question is, it's again referring to what we discussed in the previous verse. When does one destroy the self by the self?
When we fail to recognize that what makes us, what enables us to do everything is that self.
Okay, but just if you can go back to what we discussed so far, what is the theme of that message in the previous verse?
Yeah, that is ignorance. Probably the ignorance in us is not helping us to realize that true self.
Right. What is that one thing we spoke about that is responsible?
Like vasanas and other.
When you operate on your own individual preferential likes and dislikes, it creates a rupture, it creates chaos. You have lost your peace and happiness, right?
Yeah, momentarily. Probably after some time we realize.
Well, we may realize it or not, but you have lost your peace and happiness, right?
Yeah.
You've destroyed. So how do you destroy the self? The self here can be taken as happiness. How do you destroy the happiness?
Yeah.
Is by your own self. How do I, my own self, by acting on likes and dislikes? But if I don't act on likes and dislikes, we have already given the opposite what to do. And if you do all of that, you will not destroy the self by the self. Means you will actually restore, revive, realize the fountainhead of happiness is from the Atman, the self. You will realize that. One would realize that, isn't it? You will start identifying with the Lord dwelling everywhere. You will be able to see. You're able to connect the two, right? If we take the self here as the happiness, the source of happiness, the source of joy, increases as you go inward. What is the grossest source of happiness? The point I'm making is, the statement I'm saying, the happiness, if we take the self as happiness, the happiness increases as you go inward. And happiness recedes the moment you go outward. So the question is, what is the grossest source of happiness? Gemma, I hope you can talk. So my question, Gemma, is, what is the grossest source of happiness?
The grossest is physical, Guruji. Physical happiness is the grossest of happiness.
What is grosser than physical?
Grosser than physical, Guruji.
in the sense, you can say the material happiness.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Physical means all that, all the happiness that cater to your physical
I know
body.
I know you're implying that, but I'm just trying to
Right.
segregate. Perhaps you can say the lowest is material happiness.
Correct. That's what I meant.
There is a difference. Physical happiness is different to material happiness. The people who are materially acquiring, they may not physically enjoy what they have, but they are happy that they're materially amassing wealth. They don't physically enjoy their wealth, but they're just amassing wealth. They hoard, they can't part with material things. They're not givers. I'm just again reminding or narrating what Suresh's experience of a client. He has hordes of wealth, but he wants to portray himself as someone having liability, so he doesn't want to part with his spouse. He is not enjoying, nor will he allow others to enjoy. Why? He's only materially hoarding and acquiring. Acquisition and hoarding. So the lowest of happiness, sorry?
Kanchana and Kamini.
Kanchana. Kamini again, it comes to
Kanchana.
Well, so the lowest of happiness is material joy. Superior to material joy is physical joy. Superior to physical joy is emotional joy. Superior to emotional is intellectual joy. Superior to intellectual is the spiritual joy. Means the moment you go outward, your happiness recedes. The moment you go inward, the happiness increases. This is a law of life. You may substantiate it with your experience, but this is a law. Now, how do you say that? Jayama, thanks. Gayatrima, I want to ask you, how do you say this, that as you go outward, happiness decreases, but the moment you go inward, happiness increases? On what basis you say that? What's the argument for that?
As you grow outside and you enjoy it, the more and more, the law of diminishing happens. Like, the more you keep on enjoying, the saturation level keeps on reducing it. So at a point you feel that, this is enough, like, you don't anymore enjoy it. And
So
all
diminishing value, you say, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
any
it's
other
always
point?
that subtle controls the gross. So it's always that the inner subtler things keeps on telling you that the gross, there is no happiness with it. Like,
No, that's not argument. Subtle controls the gross, but that doesn't mean there's no happiness there. How do you say that?
at some time or the other, when you keep on indulging in physical, your mind starts telling that this is not the enjoyment you are experiencing it. At an emotional level also, you start feeling that the intellect starts guiding you that you are taken away by these emotions. You shouldn't be like, the every step, the higher keeps on guiding you.
Okay. Fair enough. SR, can you give me not that Gayatrima is wrong. I would take the first point what Gayatrima said, but the argument what you can give to say as you go outward, happiness recedes. The moment you turn inward, happiness increases. What's the argument to give?
Yeah, in my view, it's more you go inward, your subtle energies will keep improving and enhancing. So that's the one fundamental fact which improves your happiness. Because
how do you say that? What's the argument? What's the proof you can give? You're again making another statement.
Yeah, it could be more like how do you approach the materialistic world where you are going more outward is the one happiness it creates is in a fundamental theorem where everybody fall in that. That's the thing. But when you start getting into the spiritual part, I think is a more of inward journey gives a more of happiness because you less distractions. Because you have been cut away from any of these issues and concerns outside the world, what is going through, which is absolutely makes no meaning for you.
How do we base this statement? The world should be, you should convince somebody. What's the argument you can give? Why is it so? Okay, tell me, why is it so that moment you go outward, happiness reduces? The more I run to the grosser levels, the happiness is going to reduce. Just because you have $10 million doesn't mean your happiness quotient is 10 million times more.
Yeah,
It is not proportionate. It's not proportionate to your external success.
the inward journey could be more of subtle, Guruji. That's the reason which is more stronger than the grosser outward journey. I can put across, but I cannot exactly.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I can relate to you. I agree with you. But how this statement or this stating that happiness recedes when you go outward? On what basis are we saying that? What's the basis of that statement? We should be very sound. I'm only trying to get at that. We agree. I know you agree. You echo the thoughts in a different way. But what basis we say that? See, the basis is that the source of happiness is in the self.
Self.
If the happiness source is in the outer world, the more you go towards it, the happiness will increase, no?
That's true. That's true. Absolutely.
See, the basis of that statement, happiness recedes as you go outward, is because the source of happiness is in the self.
So that we always miss and we thinking it's the existing outside the world.
But why are we running behind the outside world? The outside world is mirroring the happiness which is in the Atman within. It is mirroring. So you're running behind shadows. You're running behind reflections.
So we are not able to see ourselves.
You're not going inward and realize the self. So the more, it's like, sir, if I'm holding a light, and if you're going further away from me, the light is going to only get dull. Because you're going that much further away from me. Every step further away, the light reduces its a luminosity. But as you keep stepping towards the light increases in luminosity or strength because you're coming closer to the source of light. It's which in my hand. I'm holding the bulb here.
So more the outward is the more the darkness.
The more outward you will experience the happiness is less. It is temporary. It is less. It dies. It's fleeting. It is not there at all. But people are charmed by the outer world because of the reflections. It's like there is no light in the moon, yet people see light there. Why?
It's a reflection of the sun, which is great.
So instead of going towards the sun, you're going towards the moon. That's the madness of life. We are going behind reflections. We are falling for attractions, the push and the pull of the senses, and we fall a prey, avidya. In the Kathopanishad, we learned yesterday also the 3 knots of ignorance. We learned that, the 3 knots of heart, which is ignorance, desire, and action. So because of this, we are caught up, and then we are destroying the Atman, the self, by the self. Suresh, if you allow me, we'll have to wrap it up. Okay, Ji?
Yeah, nothing, Guruji. I think all has been said.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Vijay Ji, yes, sir.
Guruji, may I share a certain experience next class about this? Because since there is not enough time today.
Yes, I'm actually a little short of time. I would have actually loved to hear. If we could please refer to the context, and we would love to hear from you in the next satsang, please.
This destroying self by self, as well as the point Pinaji was making about debates and arguments, I thought I could share a personal experience.
Look forward, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Ji. We'll come back certainly, and we'll continue. As I said, these 2 verses gives the quality control for your own development. So please, we should fall back onto these contexts for our own self-evaluation. And we've also given ways how to get out of those moments where we fall a trap. Okay, so that awareness will be of great help. Okay, we'll come back. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.